Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Book Talk. I'm Tony,
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Shania.
and if you guys have been following along, as we read Not a Perfect Family, this is our last episode before we move on to the Vanishing Half. And we're finally, finally going to find out who done it.
Who did it?
So, I I think last time we left off on like the theories, I was still like the sibling effort theory like until the last couple pages and I was like these abebs definitely all did it together. I don't know where you guys stood though. Do you guys remember?
I was team Dan.
I
Okay.
don't remember. I don't remember what I said.
I had a team Dan did it t-shirt made and everything.
Team Darn. Okay. Um w- oh, so we find out that Rose Cutter is their half sister.
Yeah.
I was so confused by that, and I was so glad because I was thinking that Dylan and Rose were like having an affair. Can
Smushing.
you imagine if like they did, and then they find out they're like half siblings? I would
I
be
would laugh. I
disgusted
was like, that's
myself.
what you get for
Yeah,
cheating.
that could have happened because, like in high school or whatever, Catherine and Rose were such good friends. Dan could have had a crush on her.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
exact same thing I was thinking. That's why, but in the future, if y'all have secret lovers, just make sure that
Just make sure
you're,
your kids know.
yeah. Um, and we also find out that the reason why Rose was so stressed and why Dan was so broke was
Yeah,
because
because
she
Rose is a thief.
like literally wasted all his money. But also, how dumb can he be? Like, why would you give like $500,000 to a lawyer? She's a lawyer. She's not even like a stockbroker person.
He has a very victim mentality, I feel like, because the whole time he's like, I'm in debt because of Rose, but you gave Rose your money voluntarily.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I agree.
So
and
maybe his dad was right about him. He
yeah,
would have ran the company into the ground.
I get that
Yeah,
vibe.
I I honestly think like especially when like books or in movies that like just show like really spoiled rich people, I always think the same. Like, you know what? Maybe the person had a good point. Like maybe Dan had a he was on something with the kids because they are all really like weird and messed up in their own ways.
Yeah,
Like, and it's very concerning. Um, the funeral scene was also like I know Shania's team Dan self was like quaking during the funeral scene.
he made himself look real crazy there.
I thought it was I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I thought it was so out of out of place almost. I was like so confused as to what was happening because all of a sudden it just like became this huge deal. I was like, what?
I
How
just
did
feel
how
like
did we get here?
I just feel like sweet Daniel, just felt the pressure of everyone closing in on him. Because you know how cops do that, where they'll like they want someone to be the killer, so like everything is just like, oh yeah, he definitely is the killer,
Yeah,
he's definitely in the kill, he's the boy, his dad rejected him, he asked his dad for money, didn't give it to him. And I feel like Dan, just him being the way that he is, like that was his one moment where he spoke. He felt like he was like, all right, I'm going to take all the strength that I have left in my body and I'm going to speak up for myself this one time. And he had to make sure
Well,
that it was seen for everyone.
yeah, I mean,
'Cause
I guess that was everybody was there, the family, the cops,
yeah,
the
and also
community.
like all the dad's friends who knew how they everyone knew and was like whispering about, oh, poor Dan, his dad sold the company. right from under him. Like, you know what I mean? So he was like, this is,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna go down for this, like, I need everyone to know, like, this is my last stand.
Hmm.
Yeah, but in the meantime, he also threw his sisters under the bus too, or at least tried to.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting to note that it's also like the second time that we see the whole family together, like in the entire book. Even though Fred and Mrs. Merton, I forgot her first name. Sheila? I thought it was Sheila, but I was thinking of another Sheila and I was like, was it Sheila? Anyways, even though Fred and Sheila are dead, they're still like in the room, technically. So they're still
Yeah.
all together for like one last time. So I thought that was like kind of interesting that like even when they are all together, drama just like never ceases to follow them.
Yeah.
Or they like their this like family dynamic is crazy. But then at that point I wasn't even I never moved to Team Dan. I knew I just something in me knew that like
It's
Dan
too
is
obvious.
a little too obvious, a little too like victim and a little bit too dumb. And
Hmm.
then Arena, she didn't say this, but the narrator says like Arena knows his family, they're going to turn on each other, that's what they've always done. That's what they always do, these kids, is what they've always done. And so I was like, maybe like she knows something that like we don't know.
Yeah.
But that was like a crazy that was a crazy um moment. Then let's by even crazier when we learn more about Fred's life
Mm.
and his bring up, like him bringing up, and I was like
Yeah,
who?
that shook me. I was like,
I think
okay.
I was afraid reading that, honestly.
I
I
was
got a
scared.
little bit scared.
Yeah, I was reading this like I don't know what I was doing in a car. I was like late at night in my car reading this, and I was like terrified for some reason. I was like, I feel like Fred Merton's gonna pop up and like
Yeah, like
kill me.
he's gonna like manifest himself and be standing like gonna come kill me.
Yeah, he's a psycho.
Yeah. So I
Like,
understand. It kind of gave me some empathy for Miss Girl, Miss his sister.
Yeah.
Um, but like that was just really crazy. So he killed his dad when he was younger because his dad bullied him. And he bullied his kids. So
so,
like
so the part of me felt like this is gonna get dark, but part of me was questioning, was was Fred doing some type of like twisted game, like which one of my kids will off me if I push them far enough?
I kind of I like that because I was kind of like this is a little because you know how sometimes people try not to be like their parents, but like
Hmm.
the story was like a little bit too similar. Like the only thing that kind of changed is that he has money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe
because
it
he
was. Maybe
and
he
it's
was just
it's and it's crazy. Like he literally turned out just like his father,
hmm. And then
arguably.
he died
But he made sure
just
like
like his father.
he kept his anger and rage, but like he made sure that he probably like his father's status in life, him being poor and stuff, drove him to make sure that he was never in that place financially, but he never got over his anger
Yeah.
Yeah.
and was
And
never able to work on that.
I like that point a lot, Shania, because in the beginning when we like first meet Audrey, she says something like there's something very dark running through this family. And so like that is why Audrey like knows that it was one of the siblings. Like she knows because she knows how Fred is. So that's like a
Yeah.
big clue that
Yeah.
it's
And I
definitely
feel like
one.
that's one thing to like think about, like, is a murderous streak heritable?
Hmm.
Like, do murderers
Nature.
children become murderers, nature versus nurture? Because arguably his
Yeah.
kids had a much better upbringing and they all became successful in their own right. But then at the end of it,
Yeah.
how did they still weren't able to fully cope?
They still had like emotional
Yeah.
abuse though, like their dad did. Maybe he
Yeah.
like also wanted to see like feel better about himself or something to see if somebody else would do the same thing to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Which is just like, why? So much energy was wasted there. Like, Fred.
Yeah, I feel like all the conflicts just somehow go back to him. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
And
For
he
sure.
also, you have to think, like, he might have just been going, like, absolutely crazy. Because to think of, like, he was a child when he came up with that entire, like, think about a child coming, like a teenager coming up with all those plans, like, making
Mm-hmm.
it seem like a suicide. Like, who even like, sometimes you get mad at your parents and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here. But it's never like, oh, I'm gonna kill, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna kill
Who was
them and then I'm gonna leave.
gonna
Like, no,
stage
just
it like a
leave.
suicide?
Yeah.
Like, I've watched my share of murder documentaries, and I remember these group of twins try kill their mom, and like they did more of like a break-in, but not a suicide staging. So like they knew it
Oh,
was
I
like,
think I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
And they're from
like in
like their
the
dads,
bathtub or something.
and they're from like California, and they were like pretty like famous. And then they were seen like at a basketball game. Like,
It was
they
like
inherited a bunch
they're
of,
like two light-skinned black girls,
oh, never
twins.
mind. There's this other case of, and people, it's like this whole debate. People think they were like wrongfully convicted for their parents' murder, but it's these two, I don't think they're twins though. They look a lot alike, but they like, their parents were found like the same thing, like murdered. Um and they inherited like all their money. And then like 3 days later, they were like at a basketball game, like courtside tickets, buying like
See, and
Porsches and
that's
like
and
all this
that's what
stuff.
the two brothers did.
Yeah, yeah. So interesting.
and he's
Um,
gonna tell his sister. He was just gonna like let it play out. He didn't even have the intentions until she like walked in on it.
I
yeah,
mean, the more people who know your secret, the more chance of it getting out. So I guess that's why he really felt like he had to pay her off, because he could have probably still been convicted for that crime
Yeah.
yeah,
that she snitched on him.
yeah. That like, and it definitely explains their like dynamic. It's like I might be really annoying and nobody in your family likes me, but like you're gonna have to deal with me because I'm gonna snitch if you don't give me your fortune.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
So she probably, like, that was probably being held. Just a whole bunch of things going down. Like, he might have been freaking out that his cancer was his punishment. He
Yeah.
Yeah,
might feel like maybe the money has ruined him, so like he doesn't want his kids to be filthy rich because he doesn't want it
hmm,
to ruin them. But clearly we can see
yeah,
that it was already done. The damage was already done.
yeah. And we also, so they get searched. All their houses get searched, and we find out a lot of very interesting, but also highly disturbing things. Like, why is Dan
He's such a
have?
creep.
Why does he have like? Why is he so like frameable? Like, why does he have those disposable like overalls and all this stuff?
Okay, so when we find out who it is, Dan had to be Dan to distract us from who it was.
Yeah, and I was thinking that too. But then what I literally, even knowing the end, can't wrap. I mean, I can wrap. I can wrap my head around it, but it's like really hard for me to understand. Is like Catherine question mark question mark question mark. She went over to their house and found them dead. And not only did she find them dead, her parents, her pride of joy,
She took the
she
screw
took the
back.
That
earrings.
was
She took
weird.
the earrings off. She literally, on her dead strangled mother. Her dad is literally dead, like stabbed dead.
Bleeding out.
Instead of calling the police or just getting the because maybe you know what she suspected one of her um she suspected one of um them or she suspected her siblings doing so even just like I feel like personally I would just like run away. But she really got face to face with her mom, her dead mother, and took diamond earrings off of her.
Like
Yeah.
she wasn't disgusted enough to like just run out. Because if I had seen it and if I wasn't gonna like, I would have been
Throw
out
up.
the house and
Throw
I'd
up
been
would
like
have been everywhere.
throwing
Like
up. I would have been like, okay, I have to go home. Like I cannot. The fact that she literally, because it would have been one of two things. I would have ran out the house and gotten away from it as fast as possible, or I would have been like, oh my gosh, and then I would have like reached for the like called 911 in case there was any hopes of like reviving them.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think she cared enough though. It
No,
was
but
probably
that's
a relief.
crazy.
It was probably a relief more or less, but at the same time, like I don't know. I think
And
they're
like
all crazy.
her desire to have the house stayed intact like the entire time.
Yeah.
Like she was like, okay, they're dead now, so
Or
I'm
her
gonna get the
hatred
house.
for
I'm gonna get the house. Like she never wavered on her motive. She was like, I'm gonna get the house. I'm gonna get the house.
yeah. And I
At
don't know.
least
Probably the fact that her dad just like hurt her so deeply about the baby thing too, really probably just was like whatever. She probably didn't even care.
and it's crazy because then she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
also
After all of this stress, she's pregnant.
and then Ted's like, I don't even know if I want to be your baby daddy anymore.
Exactly.
And he is stuck. And the
Ted
saddest
has
part is that
valid
he's stuck.
reasoning because
Yeah.
Catherine shows that she will see you dead on the ground, won't try to resuscitate you, but will steal the earrings off your ears and then roll out and be
Yeah.
like, everything is fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then, oh, can you lie to the police that you had? Like, why would, okay, if I have a husband, I don't expect him to know every pair of earrings that I have.
Yeah.
Like, that was such an obvious lie. Like, he's gonna notice every single pair of earrings. Like, get off me, sir.
I know. I thought that was kind of like the police were focusing so much on like, well, did she ask to borrow these? Like, have you seen them on her? Like, they're diamond studs. Like, they're not like a statement, like some shit you
Like,
get at
oh, she
dress
was
up.
wearing flamingo feather earrings to
Yeah,
dinner.
no, they're literally like diamonds. So to men and personally everyone, it's like it's hard to like I felt like they were focusing so much on that, and I'm like, we are focusing on the wrong thing
Yeah.
right now. And that is that she was there and they were dead. Like that is what we need to focus on. Like fuck the earrings.
I
Just like
mean,
why was she
I was
there?
saying at the end of this, I was like, this is a Lifetime movie. This book
I
read like a Lifetime movie.
I know. Wasn't it addicting? Like once you got to that point, you literally
Yes.
could
You
not
think
like
it's like
stop.
it starts off kind of like cheesy. Like I could see
Yeah.
this entire movie. Like I could see the movie in my head.
So after we learned a bunch of chaotic things about the Mertons, we also learned that like the Merton children were also just fucking weird when they were like little, shoplifting and like throwing shit. Who was it that like threw something or
It
pushed
was
someone?
what's her face?
No,
It was the little one,
Jenna.
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 She always had the violent
Jenna.
streak, and she gave Catherine a concussion.
Oh,
And
and
that's
Ted
why,
Yeah.
on the head
and
with
that's
the bat.
yeah, and that's why
Yeah.
the aunt was like, you gotta get her. Fred like told Fred, you gotta get her.
But also,
Yeah.
Dan's a stalker.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like so I feel like Catherine has the least, weird one. But Catherine's a shoplifter, Dan's a stalker, and Jenna
has a violent streak.
has a violent streak. And at the end
And Rose is going to jail for fraud. So
and like what is in that Merton blood? Like what is that?
you know who I
Like
do
why
feel
can't they
bad?
just be normal?
I feel
You know
bad
how
for
people,
she's the only like good-hearted one.
yeah.
Rose's mom.
Yeah.
You know how like one of Freud's defense mechanism is like sublimation, and it's like when people have like, let's say, people divert their like urges and impulses to something productive. So like if someone's like has like really violent and like torturous type like urges, instead of like becoming a murderer, they like become a surgeon, and that like fulfills them.
Maybe that's what
This is
Yeah.
what the Merton family needs to like look into themselves and start doing, because y'all are a mess. Genuinely.
they really are.
Yeah, like the thing about Dan, just it literally like didn't even make me be like, oh, poor Dan. It just made me be like, why, Dan? Why are you like this? Like, why are you stalking bitches?
Yeah.
And then sitting outside the man's home as if he was gonna like run up in there and be like, "Give me this money, give me
I
this
want to
house."
know. I want to know like what he gains out of it. You
I don't
know?
know. Maybe it's like some kind of power thing, you know?
Yeah.
Oh no, it did say it was like he felt good about himself that he could do something that he wasn't supposed to without anybody knowing.
But there's so many things you can do. I mean, I guess I can't really talk smack because I will like stalk people on social media, but like stand outside
But to
there.
actually like go to their house and just watch them. I think that's the
Yeah.
difference that we've made in society, because I mean they're both equally as creepy stalking someone on social media versus stalking them in person. But like
Yeah.
society has normalized, and we like, now we call it lurking. Oh, we're just lurking
Yeah.
No, we're
and not
like
like
actually
stalking.
exhibiting weird
But we're
behavior.
also doing things that are like kind of like, okay, like get off them, you know?
Yeah.
Then as if like things just, again, a Lifetime movie, as if like the ball is just rolling down the hill. Miss Audrey almost died.
And that was such a Jinkies moment. Like I almost got away with it when I heard Jenna say what she said. Like I almost got away with it hadn't it been for you. Like it was like such a Scooby-Doo moment.
I
But
was speeding for Halloween.
like Audrey was on her toes though. She was like, "Nope. I'm
Audrey,
I'm
yeah,
calling the police for myself."
yeah. Like I honestly thought like, well, I mean, I guess at this point of our discussion, we're not saying who did it, but at this point of the book, I really thought Audrey like poisoned herself because she just gave me weird vibes. Like she just gave me, and then it was after that whole
Was she
like,
giving you pick me vibes?
Yeah.
yes, she was giving me pick me vibes, and I was getting so annoyed by her character. I'm like, honestly, I feel like she would do that to like, and like try to like say that it was one of the children, so the police start paying attention to the children more.
I see that for
But
Miss Audrey.
yeah, like she just seems like so desperate for attention, but like,
But also that part was so well written, I have to say.
yeah,
Like, because the way that it just progressively happened, and she's like, "Oh, I don't feel good. Uh, and then like it was just like you could feel the fainting happening, or
Yeah.
that's
for
how I
some
read it. Like
reason,
I felt it myself.
yeah, I was scared. Then all of the marriages like slowly fall apart. Like every relationship that the Merton children have just are all so strained. Like Dan and Lisa's getting sus. Ted is like basically low key hates Catherine, and then Jake, poor Jake. Jake honestly did not sign up for any of the things he signed up for, and then him and Jenna like call it quits.
You did the right thing.
But he also gets interviewed by the Poe. And
The second time, yeah.
I just think it was interesting how I personally did not know that Jenna lived in that same town with the parents. I thought she just lived in New York City this entire time. But then
Mm-mm.
we find out that she had like a house
Yeah, at the beginning
near.
she said like she didn't want to live. They explained something about her living situation, about like she'd go
Yeah,
visit her friends in the city, but she still lived on like, like the Long Island area where their parents live.
yeah, but it was always like, oh, she's a city girl. She's like, she doesn't want to be near us, and then she has like a whole ass house. And I just want to know, how do you afford? Well, I guess her parents, but like,
The allowance,
yeah,
her Okay, so we can so 1, 2, 3. Who did it? Jenna.
Jenna, y'all. I don't even know. I think like that was all that happened before we like find out what happened, was like all that
No,
information.
yeah, it
Y'all,
was just
what?
the only
J
new scenario that they were gonna pin it on Irina.
Oh, yeah, so then they find, so everything, like after they find the guy with the truck, everything just kind of like dwindles and like falls into place.
Yo,
And
I was even hoping it was the guy with the truck. I was like, please let it not be one of
oh,
these.
heck no.
I
I
was
was
like, take
not
that man to jail.
I was not hoping for that like whatsoever. I was convinced it was like either all three of them, or yeah, I just thought it was all three of them. I thought, like, why would I just want to know Irina's like living slash parking situation, because like, how do you just not realize your whole ass car is gone, and why do you keep spare car keys so accessible to people? And how did nobody hear, or how did the cameras not catch Jenna when she went to Dan's house to get the coveralls?
Yeah.
And like, how did Irina just like not realize that somebody was rummaging in her yard to get the keys and then her car was gone? Or like
Answered question.
realize that maybe it was like parked a little different when it was like, like it just felt so weird to me.
I mean, there's no telling that Irina didn't know. And that's why, like, she protected whoever it was.
Oh, so
Because
wait.
they never explore that scenario. Because
Oh,
it's
I
just
didn't even think of that. Wait,
it just becomes Jenna's word about how it all went down. Because the
so
narration kind of just switches.
so when they all left in the beginning and Jenna stayed, did Irina leave with them?
Yeah, they said she left moments later, and Jenna stayed.
Oh, I love that. Like little theory, conspiracy theory. It's like maybe like, and what are the odds that she was calling someone right at that time?
Yeah.
Like that perfect time that she had to be home.
And she
Like
said
what are the
she
odds?
she knew, like they knew that she knew that one of them did it because she cleaned the knife. And that was a dead
Exactly.
giveaway, because if she had suspected, if she was able to say, "Oh, it would never be one of my kids," she would have just left the knife because that's DNA evidence.
Yeah.
But no, she knew. She definitely. How else would you know? I mean, even if like, okay, maybe hitting someone over the bat and giving someone a concussion is like definitely homicidal behavior. Um, but like, even if that was like the only violent incident that um, what's her face had, it's like, how would you? And like, like Dan is a stalker, and Catherine likes to shoplift. How would, out of all those things, how would you jump to the conclusion that one of them was a murderer? You know? So I definitely think she had some intel. And by intel, she was with Miss Jenna girl. Like that was so like that part in the book, like those chapters were so beautiful. And then you start realizing like how Jenna was always trying to like point out that they had motive. And that made you that it like made everybody, including the reader, forget that like Jenna might have motive. Like out of anyone, like yeah, Dan and Catherine have motive, but like why are we not talking about Jenna's possible motive? Like nobody talked
Yeah.
about that. Everybody talked about how Dan was broke. Everybody talked about how they were selling the house. absolutely nobody talked about Jenna, like whatsoever.
Because on face value, I think we talked about Jenna a little bit, that her inheritance, once we found out that her allowance was getting cut off.
Yeah, but it wasn't as like, I guess like the focus was on Catherine and Dan. I feel like for most of the book, and then the last like 10% of the book, like 15% of the book, we find out all these things about Jenna, like the allowance, the fight. She lives near them. She's like kind of crazy. She lied to the police and they caught it. Like we find all that out like really late into the
Yeah.
book.
The book really did just start to tumble downhill.
Yeah. So what, y'all don't have to refresh my mind, but did they like talk about like what happened during that fight that they had? Like why they were fighting
Jenna
after they left?
or what?
Yeah, Jenna and her mom and Fred, like, cause you know how they all left and then she stayed and apparently it was like they had an argument.
Oh, they talked about the will, right?
Oh,
I'm trying to look
yeah.
for it.
Oh, and also, if it wasn't obvious, Jenna was also the one that tried to kill Audrey,
Yeah.
Yes. Because
which,
she was like, I tried to kill her too.
like, I feel like that was her getting sloppy, and like that always happens in like all those crime shows, is that like the first like killing is like perfect and like
Mm-hmm.
foolproof, but then like they just start getting like, or it's like Joe from You, or Love from
Yeah.
You. They just start getting like hella sloppy and just like they don't think about it because they're so like desperate like for that. Just that moment. I cannot believe, honestly, like, and then after I read that it was Jenna, I was like, wait, that makes so much sense, actually.
She's like, she has the that whole like, what do they call them? Like the sad artist trope, like what is it called? What's the word for it?
Mhm.
The struggling artist? No, it's something like really nice.
Troubled artist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something along that. The tortured artist. Because she was like, like she's like, at least in the eyes of her family, you could see how like, Catherine, clean, pristine doctor. Dan, so business, but he's a businessman. And then like her mom and dad, it's not like she was an established person. Like, arguably, you could say that if the parents died, Catherine and Dan could arguably be okay. Because, like, Dan has an MBA, he will get a job somewhere if he applied himself.
If he wasn't stupid. Because,
Yeah.
like, why did he give all his money away? Like,
And Catherine, arguably, she's gonna have a job. She's a doctor. And then, so when you look at whose life would be the most, like, god awful, now hindsight's 2020, you do think of party girl Jenna, because who's gonna fund that lifestyle?
Yeah, she's a
the will's gonna, she really made a girl boss move. I'm kidding. Like,
Girl boss, too close to the sun and committed murder.
yeah, she was like, wait, my bag, like, they're not about to give me
Double
any more
homicide.
money. And the will is about to change in X amount of business days, so they need to die between now and those business days so I can get my money, so I can keep living my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And Jenna, babe, get a job. Yeah, like that was crazy.
That was too masterful. Like, I'm scared. Like, reading how it all went down. Like, as soon as the writing changed and it was like Easter 11:02 p.m., I was like, oh, it's all about to go down. It's all about to go down. And the way that they just seamlessly knew like, Catherine, they both knew their parents' mannerism. How, like, Catherine was like, oh yeah, mom probably came down to catch the door, and then dad came sometime later, to see who it was.
And like that's why the mom wasn't killed as bad as the dad, because like Jenna didn't have beef with her dad. I mean, with her mom. She just had beef with the dad.
Yeah. But she, like, if she was gonna kill one, she had to kill them both.
Yeah, because then obviously she knew the mom would be like, "What did you just do?" And we also wait. So even though like Jenna's the one that killed them, I'm still so disgusted by Catherine because like why would she just do that? She had just missed her by like a hair. And if
Yeah.
she would have like called the police, they would have probably been able to catch her
And
like that night.
Catherine was telling the most lies for no
Yeah.
reason, like making herself seem suspicious.
Yeah.
For no
And but then no, but like why the certain sudden urge to just take the because if you think about it realistically, you inherit like what your parents are like have, right?
Mhm.
So I'm sure like they would have been like,
It's her
hey,
greed. She didn't want to have to wait until, like they take the body to the morgue because the mom was wearing the
yeah.
earrings. So she wouldn't have
And
had
that
that
is
in
just
it.
yeah, and that is just so like disturbing to me. It's like we truly like at the end of the day, I love how like none of the Merton children can even like talk shit about each other because it's like, okay, Dan, why the fuck are you stalking people? And Catherine, why did you take the earrings off? Yeah, I killed them and now y'all are millionaires and y'all are happy. So like what did I do that was so bad that y'all didn't do? You know, it's like kind of like a whole morality thing. It's like who can we even be who can we even be like, oh my God, like she's a bad person? Because it's definitely Catherine and Dan got their struggles.
No, they're all riding that bus together because no one is exempt from what went
Yeah.
down that night.
And did they end up moving into the house, Ted and Catherine? Do y'all remember?
Hold on. I'm looking for it.
Like I feel like they did, but I don't know if that was like a fever dream I had.
I know Dan, or what's his name? Oh my gosh. The husband. He was
Ted.
married.
Ted.
Ted, yes. Oh my gosh. Um,
I was kind of rooting for I still am rooting for Ted and Lisa.
To
I feel like
be
there could be
to like get together and be like a trauma couple.
yes, that'd be so
Wouldn't that be
cute.
a story to tell? Like, oh yeah, we used to be brother and sister-in-law, but now we got married because the
Our
siblings
significant
were
others
married too.
are the family we married into are insane and psychopathic.
And no one else will want to be with us because it's just too much.
Yeah.
That's actually so funny.
And I loved like when they were doing the whole like couple years later flashback and like Catherine and Ted had the kid and like Ted just looked so like depressed. Probably because he just knew the truth at that point about like Catherine and was like I'm like it gave me like Love and Joe vibes. How
yeah.
like Joe like doesn't even like Love and it was like the same but except Ted is our king and he's not gonna kill anyone. But
I knew I liked Ted.
it just kind of like the idea that like he had in his mind of Catherine and like their family was just like and like the love that Catherine had and how she loved spending like holidays with them was just like all a lie.
Um, yeah.
It's so crazy. I feel like all the kids could have like moved away.
They decided to stay there.
Yeah, they all decided to stay, and sometimes it makes you just wonder about people because it's like you know what causes you harm, you know what makes you feel like sad and whatever, but then you just choose to stay in the area. Because,
Yeah.
I feel like Dan could have graduated and then used his experience from working at his dad's company to go work somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it didn't just start today that his dad started treating him awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And because Audrey will never let it rest. Oh, we forgot to talk about how Jenna like buried all the evidence under this
Yes.
like under this concrete. The literal like last 2 or 3 lines of the book are just basically that Audrey will never let it rest, and that piece of property that they put cement over a long time ago went for sale. So
She
now,
picks up her cell phone and calls the realtor. That is the
and
last line in the
so
book.
now we will never know what happens because, like, since this narrator is so unreliable, like, how do we know it's the same location? Like, genuinely, like, how do we know that it's the same place that like Jenna and Audrey were talking about?
Yeah.
We can't
Well,
really.
we
It's like,
know.
well, yeah, but it could be 2 different locations. Like, it's not like it's, there could be 2 different places that are about to be cemented over. And how would they know that they would find anything? Can you still, is that, like, I don't know. So, or like they could, and then they'd find out it's Jenna, but like knowing Jenna, she might get away with it, just how Fred got away with it like a couple years ago. Because how would it link back to her?
Maybe Audrey thinks that this is her chance to right a wrong, because arguably she could have and probably should, morally she should have like reported her brother from then and said,
Yeah.
you killed our dad. So now she probably feels more empowered to be like, no, I'm gonna get justice. Or maybe she feels like she owes it to her brother to make sure that there's justice for his death, since he did such a big thing for their family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am.
And I
don't
think
know.
that's why she won't let it die, because it just means that much to her, because she's like, no.
And how could they even link it back to Jenna?
I know,
like,
with all the cement.
And just like, yeah, you guys found their all that bloody. Oh, I guess the coveralls. Like, it would just literally go to Dan. It's like, why are these coveralls if they haven't like disintegrated yet? And then they would never even get pinned on Jenna, because then it's like, well, damn, was it Dan?
Yeah.
Or was it just some random person?
So much.
So that was not a happy family.
Not at all.
That was a sad family. A scary family.
Unfortunate family.
Terrifying family.
Toxic family.
Depressing family.
Like,
murder family.
What a murder family. Like, yeah. That was insane.
That's what You season 14 is gonna be.
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
and Love are gonna have like 4 kids and then become wealthy somehow, and then the kids are gonna kill their parents because they're gonna find out that their parents are killers.
They already are wealthy, Love and Joe.
Did y'all finish this season?
I haven't even started. I haven't been. I'm probably gonna like wait until like a Christmas break or something. I can't get sucked down that rabbit hole.
I finished it in like a day. It was so good.
Yeah.
Only thing I could watch that was new that came out was On My Block.
I saw your story about that. You were
and I don't even know if that counts as a TV show.
About On My Blog. I was like, there's a reason why.
It feels like a Disney Channel TV show at this point. Like, I was watching Disney Channel and everyone else was watching HBO.
Literally.
It's back like when I used to like watch Criminal Minds, and I had this one friend who was watching Dexter, and we were just not the same. And she'd always be like, you should watch Dexter. And I'd be like, no, that's too scary.
My parents are obsessed with Dexter. Like, My mom and dad have watched that show like 3 or 4 times.
There's a new one coming out.
Yeah, I know they're really excited.
All right. Well, so next we're reading The Vanishing Half. So you guys join us in 2 weeks.
Stay tuned.
Let me try to give a little synopsis real quick about what that's about. So you guys meet us in 2 weeks to give that book a read. And maybe we'll try something different. We haven't decided yet how we're gonna, improve upon our already amazing book conversations.
Woo!
So, The Vanishing Half is about 2 twin sisters that will always be identical, but after growing up together in a small town, Southern Black community, one runs away, and you will have to come back and read with us to find out the rest. So that's our episode. Thank you guys so much. 3 episodes strong, 3 episodes and counting.
Woo!
You gotta, ring the bell for ourselves and hype ourselves up because we come back and we do this. So fun. I actually really look forward to reading now because I'm like, these books are so good, and I have people to talk about them with, which make it so much better. So thank you guys for tuning in, those of you tuning in, and bye.
Bye.
Bye.